Hello, beautiful monsters. Oh, don't look away. I'm talking to the one who has real witches losing sleep over your name. Let's stop pretending this is symbolic, okay? This isn't witches as a metaphor. I mean actual covens, actual circles, actual candles, real people on real floors, chanting syllables they can't pronounce, drawing sigils they half understand, and the air goes weird the second they mention you. They're not guessing about your power. They've seen it. You know this too. You've felt it. Those nights when everything goes heavy and still, like the room is listening, when your skin buzzes for no reason, when your dreams aren't dreams, they're meetings. They call you a problem, a disruption, an anomaly. They call you the one who outclasses ritual witches. They whisper that you struck a deal with something dark. And the messed up part, they're not wrong. Not this time. Picture this and don't lie to yourself, because part of you remembers there was a night it broke. That line between normal and never going back. It wasn't aesthetic. It wasn't a cute Pinterest altar. It was ugly. Real. You were tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. Hurt in a way apologies couldn't heal. You weren't trying to manifest. You were trying to survive. You didn't light candles for vibes. You lit whatever you had because you needed something to answer. You weren't doing it for content. There was no camera on. You weren't trying to look powerful. You just refused to keep feeling powerless. And somewhere between the anger, the tears, the shaking, the I can't do this anymore, something answered. Not in some Hollywood horror jump scare way. No violins, no thunder on cue. Just a presence. Thick, aware, old. The air in the room shifted like it had been waiting for you to finally break. You felt it before you heard anything. That drop in your stomach, like an elevator cut loose. The hairs going up on your arms. The silence going from empty to crowded. And in that silence you knew, without anyone teaching you, that you were not alone. Not in the cute, comforting way. In the you've been seen way. You didn't meet an angel. You didn't meet a guide. You didn't meet some glittery love and light mascot. No. Something dark showed up. Not the evil the movies talk about. Not the cheap jump scare kind. This was the sort of darkness that's older than their books, older than their herbs, older than their little rules. The kind that's been in every shadow you ever cried in. The kind that's been there every time you were humiliated, betrayed, discarded. It knew you. It talked in feelings, not words. I see what they did to you. I see what you did to yourself. I see the part of you that would burn the whole thing down if you thought you'd get away with it. And you didn't run. You didn't close your eyes and think positive. You looked back. Shaking, maybe. Angry, definitely. But you looked back. That was the deal. Not signed with ink. Signed with eye contact. Signed with acceptance. Signed with that moment you said, in your own raw, broken way, if you're real, then I'm done being prey. That was the contract, not take my soul and make me rich. It was worse than that, from their perspective. You said, take my fear, take my self-betrayal, take my willingness to die slowly just so other people stay comfortable. I don't want it anymore. Feed on that. Eat every piece of me that kneels to people who don't deserve it. Strip me of my softness where it's being wasted. Leave me with what actually survives. You didn't become possessed. You became partnered. You and that dark presence shook hands in the only way that matters. You stopped protecting the version of you that wanted to be loved more than it wanted to be free. That's when things started happening around you. Not metaphorically, literally. Let's talk about the witches, not the TikTok ones doing cute jar spells for clout. I'm talking about the ones who know, the ones who've spent years learning names they won't say out loud, the ones with old scars, old books, older enemies, the ones who've been the scariest thing in the room for a long time, until you walked in. See, they watch people. They can tell when someone's faking power. They can smell performative witch energy from across a room. But when it comes to you, they get quiet. They don't see someone trying to look dark. They see someone with something behind them. Something that doesn't care about aesthetics. Something that doesn't need an altar to be recognized. You know how many altars your name has touched. How many circles have mentioned you? You'd be sick if you knew. There are covens out there that have done full readings on you. Spread out cards with your energy dripping off them. Poured wax, burned herbs, stared into water trying to see what you are. And the answers don't match. The cards glitch. The flames act weird. The water goes cloudy. The pendulum swings like it's arguing. Why? Because you're not in their system. Their rituals are built for predictable people. Souls who play by rules, even when they're rebelling. But you're under a different contract now. You aligned yourself with something that feeds off every time you stop lying about who you are. Every time you cut a cord. Every time you walk away from what drains you. You've noticed this, yeah? When someone disrespects you now, it doesn't just hurt your feelings. The room shifts. When someone tries to manipulate you, their words feel thinner, like paper burning at the edges. When someone lies to your face, your stomach drops as if you already know the ending. That's not paranoia. That's your dark partner tugging your sleeve. That one. Watch that one. And when they push too hard, when they touch you with dirty hands, something in your life cracks around them. Their money goes weird. Their sleep goes bad. Their luck dries up. No ritual, no spell jars, no curse bowl, just consequences. That's why witches talk. They can feel that when people cross you, things happen. They might not know every detail, but they see patterns. You don't want to mess with them. I don't care what you think you know. Their energy is off, heavy. I tried reading them and my deck went insane. I cast for them once, never again. Something was already there, watching. That something dark isn't chained in a circle barking on command. It's not your pet. You're not its pet either. It's more intertwined. You gave it your weakness as an offering. It gave you its indifference as armor. Now you walk through this world with a distortion field that traditional ritual work can't map. Their binding spells slide off. Their jealousy rituals misfire. Their little curses bounce back like rubber bullets off steel. Not because you memorized a protection chant from a book, because you're not operating alone anymore. And here's what really cooks them. You're not even trying to be a witch. You still go to work, still ride the bus, still answer emails, still forget where you put your keys. You're not in a robe staring at the moon. You just move different. You say no and mean it. You leave when the energy turns. You ignore calls that used to drag you back into hell. You detach, calmly, quietly. And every time you do, that dark presence smiles. Good, that's mine. I'm taking that piece of fear. I'm taking that habit you just killed. I'm feeding on that version of you that would have folded. You don't look possessed. You look focused. You don't look haunted. You look unavailable. Unavailable for the nonsense. Unavailable for being fed on. Unavailable for playing emotional servant to people doing low-level spell work, whether they're lighting candles or just using guilt. That availability is what witches, real witches, track. They look at you and see that you're not open. You don't leak. You don't spray your energy all over people who barely know your last name. You're closed like a vault, or worse, for them, like a temple with a bouncer. Something big stands at your gate now, arms crossed, saying, "No, not this one, not anymore." When they try to peek behind the door, the dark presence turns its head and looks right back. That's why their divinations go fuzzy. That's why their rituals feel off when they aim them at you. That's why they're convinced you struck a deal with something they wouldn't dare call out by name. Because you did. You said yes to the part of reality that doesn't care about their hierarchy, their seniority, their titles, their years of practice. You let in something that only respects truth, will, and follow through. Everything else, it eats. Let's address you directly, because underneath all this, there's still that part of you that wonders, am I bad now? Am I the villain? Did I go too far? No. You went far enough. You didn't call in darkness to hurt random people. You didn't call in darkness to flex on the weak. You called it in because the light never came when you were bleeding. You called it because your prayers went unanswered. Your efforts went unseen. Your loyalty went unrewarded. And you were tired of betting on a system designed to keep you soft, silent, and drained. So something else bet on you. And the price? Oh, it wasn't your soul. It was your illusions. You had to give up. The illusion that abusers will suddenly act right. The illusion that loyalty will fix people who don't want to change. The illusion that if you're nice enough, they'll stop feeding on you. The illusion that you're powerless. You really think that's evil? You think it's evil to finally carry something in your chest that hisses when you're about to betray yourself again. You think it's evil that now, when someone plays with your boundaries, you get that cold, clean feeling instead of collapsing? You think it's evil that you're not appetizing to vampires anymore? From their point of view, yeah, that's evil. You're not a buffet now. You're a locked door with eyes in the dark, watching every hand that reaches for the handle. Witches who are used to having the upper hand don't enjoy that. They are used to being the ones aligned with something bigger, older, scarier than the average person. They like being closer to the edge than everyone else. And then you show up. No official title, no fancy lineage, no 13 generations of gifted this and chosen that. Just you. And whatever answered you on that night, you finally snapped. When they look at you, they don't just see a person. They see a warning. They see that you are walking proof that raw desperation plus brutal honesty can attract something just as potent as all their carefully curated spirits and deities. Maybe more, because you didn't approach it like a game. You approached it like a last resort. Now here's the part that really matters. What are you going to do with this? Because the power is real. The presence is real. The way rooms change around you. Real. The way certain people suddenly glitch in your life after they try to play you. Very real. But it's not there just so you can feel edgy. It's there to enforce a new law in your existence. Greater than, no one feeds on me without paying a price. That includes you. You don't get to drain yourself for people and expect the darkness to stay quiet. It will turn on you if you treat yourself the way they did. You've noticed this, haven't you? The way you feel sick if you go back to old habits. The way your mind starts spinning out if you entertain old dynamics. The way you can't sit comfortably in rooms where your soul doesn't belong anymore. That's not anxiety. That's your contract screaming. We didn't crawl through that night for you to act like nothing changed. Your power outclasses ritual witches because it doesn't come from memorized words or ingredients. It comes from a bond between you and everything that watched you suffer in silence for years and agreed that the experiment is over. You are not the lab rat anymore. You are the one carrying the thing in the dark now. They feel it. They don't know what you gave up. They don't know what it cost. They don't know what you endured to make that presence look at you and say, "Fine, I'm with you, but no more lies." All they know is their protection feels flimsy next to your presence. Their curses feel childish. Their rituals feel outdated. Their status feels smaller. And so the story goes around. You know them, don't mess with them. There's something on them. They're marked. They made a deal. Let them talk. You know what you did. You made a deal with the dark that lived in every night you cried alone. You made a deal that says, if I'm going to carry this pain, it's going to serve me now. It's going to protect me. It's going to warn me. It's going to stand behind me, like a shadow that growls when someone tries to touch what's mine. That is why their rituals shake. That is why their circles go tense when your name comes up. That is why when you walk into a room, even the ones who don't believe in any of this feel something. You didn't ask to be this, but you accepted it. And now, every witch that thought they were the scariest thing in the room has to live with the fact that there's someone walking around who made a deal they would never be brave enough to make, with a darkness that doesn't answer to them, which means every room you walk into is carrying a secret hierarchy they don't even talk about out loud, and your name is sitting way higher on that list than they're comfortable admitting. You notice it in tiny, stupid ways. You share a thought, and the whole conversation pivots. You walk into a space, and people who are loud start fidgeting with their phones. You laugh at the wrong moment, and one person across the room looks at you like you just pulled a knife. They can't explain it logically. They just feel it. Witches, the real ones, the ones who actually work on people behind the scenes, they live off influence. They like the feeling of being the unseen hand, quiet, subtle, powerful. For a long time, they were the ones humming under the surface, tilting outcomes, nudging timelines. Then you show up with a presence that doesn't match your resume. No robes, no titles, no stated practice. Just this. Wait. You speak, and the air recalculates. That freaks them out more than anything written in their little black books, because they can't trace it. They look at you, and they don't see a clear chain of command. No deity, no sigil, no tradition they recognize. They just see that something responded when you reached your breaking point, and that something did not go through their channels. You jumped the queue. They spent years building up spiritual credit, gathering knowledge, memorizing correspondences. You got pushed to the edge one night, snapped, and something ancient climbed inside your perimeter without them being involved. That ruins their sense of order. They're used to being gatekeepers. You went in through a wall, and you know what happens when gatekeepers feel bypassed. They get petty, they get bitter, they get obsessive. That's when the little things start happening around you. Weird dreams about people you barely talk to, staring you down. Random headaches when a certain name comes up. feeling watched when you're just washing dishes, thinking of someone and catching this heavy pressure behind your eyes, like a hand on your face. You're not imagining that. Your name is sitting on altars you've never seen. Your photo has been printed, screenshotted, pulled up, stared at under candlelight. People who dabble in this stuff tried to figure you out, tried to pull on your threads, tried to test your defenses like it was a fun experiment. They did their little rituals, reveal their intentions, open up their energy, bind their harm. Cute. What they didn't count on was the thing standing behind you turning its head every single time they reached in uninvited. That's why some of them got sick for no reason. That's why some of them had tech glitches every time they focused on you. That's why some of them had the candles crack in front of them when they said your name. They weren't just touching you. They were touching the agreement. And that agreement is ruthless. You didn't ask for gentle protection. You didn't ask for soft, slow, patient guidance. You asked for no more betrayal. The presence took that literally, which means any hand that tries to twist your story, manipulate your mind, feed off your pain, is automatically in violation of the contract hanging over your life. People feel that. They don't know the wording, but their nervous system does. That's why certain folks can't relax around you even when you're being nice. Their spirit knows something like, if I push this one too far, if I play games here, something is going to hit me that I cannot pray away in 3 days. They call that scary energy. They call that intimidating aura. They're wrong. It's consequences. You carry visible consequences, not just for others, for yourself too. You can't move like you used to. You can't flirt with your old self-sabotage patterns without feeling that presence breathing down your neck. You go to text someone you know is bad for you. Your chest tightens. You agree to something that drains you. Your body crashes. You entertain gossip, drama, petty nonsense. Your mood tanks out of nowhere. That's not random. That's your dark ally dragging you by the collar. We didn't sign up for this. We did not claw our way through that night for you to walk yourself back into chains with a smile on your face. It's not forgiving about that. You might think, I'm just being dramatic, or I'm overthinking. But deep down, you feel it. You are under watch, not from above, from behind, from the shadows that used to swallow you, that started whispering, no more, and meant it. That's where the empowerment actually lives. You're not just protected. That word is too soft for what's going on here. You're enforced. You carry enforcement in your field. The same way some people walk around carrying chaotic energy that breaks everything they touch. You walk around with a built-in balancing mechanism that hits harder every time someone tries to drain you, use you, or drag you backwards. The witches sense that. They won't tell you directly. They talk in half sentences, dodging language. I wouldn't cross you, that's all I'm saying. Your energy is different. You've got something on you, in a good way. Mostly. That mostly part is just them admitting they're nervous. They see that this isn't just your chosen, your special fluff. They see that if you decided to actually lean into this, to move in alignment with that presence, instead of fighting it, clinging to old patterns, trying to play harmless again, your life would rearrange in a way that makes their careful spell work look like kid chalk on a stormy sidewalk. You're not playing with mood boards anymore. You're weaponizing your yes and your no. You say yes, things move. You say no, doors slam. Eventually you realize something wild. You don't get to be lazy with this. You can't treat this like a costume you put on when you feel like being powerful and take off when you're lonely. Easy, lock in, don't blink. So you felt it, didn't you? That microscopic pause, that half-second where their breath stuttered and their eyes did something they couldn't control, that moment where the room didn't change, but they did. That wasn't curiosity, that wasn't admiration, that wasn't even fear yet. That was recognition, because up until now, they could pretend you were lucky, pretend you were chaotic, pretend you were reckless, unstable, temporary. They wrapped you in labels so they wouldn't have to face the truth. They told themselves stories so they could sleep. But then something snapped. They watched you move through pressure like it was oxygen. They saw you take hits that would have folded anyone else and somehow come back sharper, quieter, more precise. They noticed the pattern before they could explain it. Every time life tried to erase you, you came back, upgraded. And that's when it happened. That shift in their eyes. That moment where confidence drains and calculation takes its place. Where their posture tightens. Where their voice changes just enough to give them away. Where they stop talking at you and start listening around you. Because now they're not looking at a person, they're looking at a problem they can't solve. You see, they're used to power that announces itself. Loud power, predictable power, power that wants applause, power that begs to be seen. That kind of power is easy to map, easy to manipulate, easy to destroy. But you're the kind that evolves in silence. You're the contradiction they weren't trained for. The saint who learned how to survive hell. The monster who knows exactly when not to bite. The angel who stopped asking for permission. The psychopath who still understands mercy and chooses when to withhold it. That's what unsettles them. You don't react the way you're supposed to. You don't break where the pressure is applied. You don't chase validation, and you don't flinch when they test you. You don't rush. You don't explain. You don't perform. You observe. And observation is lethal. Because the moment they realized who you are, the game inverted. The watcher became the watched. The examiners started checking themselves. The people who once spoke casually around you started measuring every word. Every joke got safer. Every move got slower. They didn't announce it out loud, but their eyes confessed everything. Those eyes said, "This one's different." Those eyes said, "This one remembers." Those eyes said, "This one has already been through something that rewired them." You weren't born dangerous. That's the part they never understand. You were made dangerous by disappointment, by betrayal, by nights where nobody came, by moments where you had to choose between collapsing and adapting. And you adapted. You learned when to go cold and when to burn, when to disappear and when to stand directly in front of the threat without blinking. You learned that unpredictability isn't chaos, it's leverage. You learned that control doesn't come from domination, it comes from restraint. That's why they can't read you. They keep looking for emotional tells, but you already buried those. They expect rage, but you bring calm. They expect ego, but you bring clarity. They expect desperation, but you bring timing. And timing terrifies them, because the shift in their eyes wasn't about what you did. It was about what you could do if you ever stopped holding back. It was the realization that you're operating at a fraction of your capacity. That you're polite, not because you're weak, but because you're disciplined. They see it now. The silence before you speak isn't hesitation, it's selection. The stillness isn't fear, it's assessment. The smile isn't friendliness, it's awareness. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to prove. Your presence already rearranges the atmosphere. And that's the part that keeps them up at night. Because people like you don't announce the storm. You are the pressure drop before it hits. You don't chase power. You attract it by refusing to beg. You don't force outcomes. You let others expose themselves while trying to control you. They finally realized something else, too. You're not fueled by hatred anymore. You've graduated past that. Hatred is noisy. You're fueled by something colder, cleaner, purpose shaped by pain, vision sharpened by loss. A calm that only comes from surviving the worst and realizing you're still standing. That's why their eyes changed. Because now they know you're not waiting to be chosen. You're not hoping to be understood. You're not seeking permission. You've already crossed the line they're afraid to approach. You're what happens when someone stops trying to be liked and starts being precise. When someone integrates their darkness instead of fighting it. When someone learns that being underestimated is the most powerful position in the room. And here's the truth they can't unsee now. You don't need to become anything else. You don't need to escalate. You don't need to announce your next move. The shift already happened. It happened in their eyes. It happened in their silence. It happened the moment they realized you're not playing the same game. And never were. You're not the threat they prepared for. You're the one that makes them question whether the rules even apply anymore. And once that realization lands, it never leaves. They try to shake it off, tell themselves they imagined it, pretend you're still manageable. But the body knows before the mind can lie. Their nervous system already filed you under unpredictable variable. Their instincts already flagged you as something that doesn't fit the model. That's why the air around you feels different now. You didn't get louder. You didn't posture. You didn't demand respect. You simply kept being you. And that's what broke the illusion, because they expected transformation to look dramatic. They thought power announces itself with noise, with dominance displays, with threats and theatrics. They thought becoming dangerous meant becoming obvious. But you took the opposite route. You refined yourself. You compressed your chaos into control. You turned trauma into structure, pain into pattern recognition, loss into leverage. You didn't numb out. You sharpened. You didn't harden. You clarified. That's why their eyes changed. They saw that you don't move from emotion anymore. You move from position. That your decisions aren't reactions, they're delayed executions, that you let people talk themselves into exposure while you quietly catalog everything. And once someone realizes that about you, they never feel safe again. Not because you're violent, but because you're accurate. Accuracy is terrifying, because accuracy means you see the real hierarchy. You see who's bluffing, who's overcompensating, who's terrified of being exposed. You see who needs validation to function and who collapses without attention. And they realized you don't need any of that. You can stand alone in a room full of people and not feel empty. You can be silent and not feel invisible. You can walk away without needing closure. That tells them something dangerous about you. It tells them you're no longer emotionally tethered to outcomes, that you're not desperate for approval or afraid of abandonment, that you already survived the worst-case scenario and came back with perspective instead of bitterness. That's when respect mutates into fear. Because fear isn't about aggression, it's about loss of control. And they lost control the moment they realized you don't need their reaction to validate your existence. You don't collapse under pressure. You metabolize it. You don't chase reassurance. You generate gravity. They can feel it when they look at you. The way you're calm doesn't ask for permission. The way your stillness doesn't explain itself, the way your presence doesn't negotiate. You've become the paradox they can't resolve. Soft-spoken but immovable, controlled but lethal, compassionate but not exploitable, a thinker with teeth, a survivor with standards. And that's when the internal panic starts, because now they're replaying every interaction they ever had with you, every joke, every dismissal, every time they underestimated you. They're wondering what you noticed, what you remember, what you filed away. They're asking themselves questions they never wanted to ask. Does he know? Did she see that? Was that moment intentional? And you never answer. You let silence do the damage, because silence forces projection, and projection reveals weakness. In silence, people confess to themselves. In silence, fear grows legs. In silence, they start negotiating with versions of you that don't even exist. That's power, not the loud kind, not the obvious kind, the kind that bends rooms without speaking, the kind that turns confidence into caution, the kind that makes people self-edit around you. You didn't become this overnight. This version of you was forged slowly, brutally, in moments where nobody clapped, in nights where nobody checked in phases where you questioned your own sanity, foreseeing what others couldn't. You doubted yourself before you trusted yourself. You broke before you rebuilt. You learned the cost of kindness and the necessity of boundaries. You learned that being good without being strong gets you eaten, and being strong without being conscious turns you hollow. So you integrated both. You didn't kill your darkness, you disciplined it. You didn't erase your empathy, you armored it. You didn't abandon your humanity, you weaponized your awareness. That's why the shift in their eyes wasn't admiration, it was acknowledgement. The unspoken understanding that you are no longer operating on surface-level motives. That you don't need chaos to dominate, but chaos tends to follow wherever you stop pretending. They see it now. You don't rush because you're already ahead. You don't explain because you already know. You don't react because you already planned. And here's the part that really fractures them. You're not trying to win against them. You're evolving past them. That's what makes them uneasy. You're not fueled by revenge. You're fueled by alignment. You're not here to prove. You're here to execute your own trajectory. They can sense that you're outgrowing the environment, that the room is starting to feel small around you, that whatever version of you they thought they understood is already obsolete. And once that realization hits, the eyes never lie again. Because eyes don't speak ego, they speak survival. And theirs just admitted something they'll never say out loud. They finally realized who you are, and they know. There's no unseeing it. And once that door opens in their mind, it doesn't close. Ever. They can distract themselves, drown it in noise, bury it under routine. But the knowing stays. It sits behind their eyes like a warning light they pretend not to see. Because now every interaction with you carries weight. Every word you don't say becomes louder than the ones you do. Every pause feels intentional. Every glance feels measured. They start scanning for hidden meaning where there may be none, because people fear what they can't predict. And you've become unreadable by design. They sense that you're not improvising anymore, that you're moving from an internal map they don't have access to, that your calm isn't apathy, it's pre-acceptance. You've already accepted every possible outcome, which means nothing they do can shake you. That terrifies them, because leverage dies the moment someone stops fearing loss. You already lost what mattered once. You already felt the collapse, the betrayal, the disillusionment. You already stood in that internal wasteland where illusions burn off and only truth survives. And instead of becoming bitter, you became precise. That's the shift they saw. The shift from seeking to selecting, from reacting to allowing, from proving to deciding. They noticed you no longer rushed to defend yourself, no longer over-explain, no longer chase being understood. You let misunderstanding sit, because you've learned something most people never do. Being misunderstood is safer than being predictable. They don't know which version of you they're dealing with anymore. The compassionate one, the detached one, the forgiving one, the ruthless one. And the worst part for them is that all of those versions are real, and you choose which one shows up. Choice is power. You can feel it when they look at you now. That slight delay before they speak. That subconscious recalibration. That moment where they check their tone, soften their posture, rethink their angle. They're no longer trying to impress you. They're trying not to trigger you. Not because you've threatened them, but because something about you says you don't miss. That when you act, it's final. That you don't escalate emotionally. You resolve strategically. They sense that you've crossed an internal threshold where chaos doesn't scare you anymore, where silence feels safer than noise, where solitude feels cleaner than crowds, where clarity matters more than comfort. That's when respect becomes caution, because people can handle anger, they can handle arrogance, they can even handle violence. What they can't handle is someone who sees through the game and chooses not to play emotionally. You've become immune to bait. Insults slide off you, praise doesn't hook you. Drama feels transparent. You see the mechanism behind the performance, the insecurity behind the bravado, the fear behind the control, and you don't expose it. You let it rot on its own. That restraint is what unsettles them most, because restraint signals something dangerous: confidence without desperation, power without hunger, awareness without noise. They start wondering how long you've been like this, whether you always saw them this clearly, whether every interaction was already catalogued, whether the version of you they dismissed was just camouflage. And the truth, it was. You learned early that loud evolution attracts resistance, so you evolved quietly. You upgraded internally while externally appearing unchanged. You let them underestimate you because underestimation gives you space. Space to learn, space to sharpen, space to move without interference. Now that space is closing, because now they see it in your eyes too. That grounded stillness, that absence of need, that sense that you're already gone, mentally ahead, emotionally detached, strategically positioned. They realize you're not climbing the same ladder. You're building something else entirely. And here's the paradox that really cracks them. You're not cold because you lack feeling. You're calm because you understand feeling too well. You know how fear hijacks logic, how ego blinds intelligence, how desire creates weakness. And you refuse to let any of that run you anymore. That's why your presence feels heavier now. You're no longer available for manipulation, no longer accessible through guilt or flattery, no longer controllable through pressure or urgency. They can't rush you. They can't corner you. They can't provoke you into mistakes. And that's when people start projecting. They call you distant, arrogant, intimidating, different. But what they're really saying is, I can't read you, and that scares me. Because deep down, they sense something else. You're not seeking validation from the world anymore. You're aligning with something internal, something steady, something that doesn't fluctuate with opinions or outcomes. You're operating from center. And when someone operates from center, the world adjusts around them. That's why the shift in their eyes wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, almost invisible, but irreversible. A micro-expression of recalibration, a silent admission. They finally realized who you are. Not a phase, not a fluke, not a character, but a force shaped by experience, a mind sharpened by survival, a presence that doesn't announce itself, but leaves marks everywhere it passes. And the most dangerous part, you didn't change to intimidate them. You changed to survive. And now survival has turned into inevitability. So let them stare. Let them wonder. Let them speculate and whisper and replay moments in their head. You don't owe them clarity. You already moved past the point where explanation matters. They saw the shift, and they know. Whatever you're becoming next, they won't be ready for it. And the deeper that awareness settles into them, the quieter they become. Not calm, quiet. There's a difference. Calm is confidence. Quiet is recalibration. Quiet is someone realizing the map they were using is outdated, and the terrain has changed without permission. That's what you did. You changed the terrain, without announcement, without ceremony, without warning flares. You didn't step into a new role. You outgrew the old one so completely that it collapsed behind you. And now everyone who still lives there is staring at the rubble, trying to understand when the ground gave way. They feel it when you walk into a space. Conversations adjust. Energy shifts. The air tightens just a little. It's subtle, but it's real. You're not dominating the room. You're anchoring it. You're not absorbing attention. You're bending it. And here's what they can't stand admitting to themselves. You didn't get here by accident. This wasn't luck. This wasn't timing. This wasn't a sudden glow-up. This was accumulation. Every ignored warning. Every betrayal you clocked and never forgot. Every night you stayed awake asking questions nobody else was brave enough to ask. Every time you chose self-mastery over self-soothing. You paid for this version of yourself in advance. With loneliness, with doubt, with long stretches of invisibility, with moments where you wondered if you were becoming something wrong for refusing to stay small. And now that the payoff is visible, they don't know how to react. Because people are comfortable with growth that follows rules, degrees, titles, external validation, linear progress. But you didn't grow like that. You grew sideways. You grew inward. You grew in ways that don't show up on resumes, but show up immediately in eye contact. That's why their eyes changed. They saw depth where they expected surface. They saw patience where they expected hunger. They saw control where they expected chaos. They saw someone who isn't driven by impulse but by internal law. And internal law is unbreakable. You don't need permission to move. You don't need approval to decide. You don't need consensus to act. You move when alignment says move, and you wait when silence says wait. Waiting used to be uncomfortable for you. Now it's a weapon, because waiting lets people expose themselves. Waiting lets false confidence unravel. Waiting lets the loud ones make mistakes while you collect data. They noticed that too. They noticed you don't rush conversations anymore. You let people talk. You let them reveal priorities, insecurities, contradictions. You don't interrupt. You don't compete. You don't try to win debates. You let truth win on its own. And that tells them something terrifying about you. You're no longer operating from need. Need makes people loud. Need makes people reckless. Need makes people manipulable. But you severed that dependency. You stopped needing to be seen, heard, chosen, validated. You chose yourself quietly. And that's when people start to feel unsafe. Not because you're hostile, but because you're sovereign. Sovereignty breaks hierarchies. You can't intimidate someone who doesn't seek status. You can't bribe someone who doesn't crave approval. You can't threaten someone who already made peace with loss. They sense that you've already died once, not physically, but internally. The old identity, the old attachments, the old illusions.